Hello and welcome to part 16 in my Japanese for Beginners series. By the end of this video, you will know how to say that you either like or dislike something using suki or kirai. This video corresponds with pages 134 through 135 of the Genki Volume 1 Japanese textbook, but even if you don't have the textbook, you can totally follow along.
では始めましょう。
So if you're trying to get to know people, express yourself to other people, one of the most important things to be able to say is what you like and what you dislike. If you are going to do a homestay in Japan with a host family, it is also particularly useful to, in advance, before you even go there, write them a nice letter, and in there you can include things like, hey, I like these things, I dislike these things. Specifically in my case, and I was instructed by the Rotary Club with whom I went through. I highly recommend Rotary International, by the way, if you're going to do an exchange abroad, if you're in high school or early college. Anyway, they instructed me, hey, tell your host family that you don't like cigarettes, you don't like smoking, because smoking is extremely common over there. That was 20 years ago. It's still pretty common over there compared to the United States, but less common than it was before. But anyway, I told them in advance in the letter that I dislike smoking, and because of that, they knew in advance, okay, don't smoke around her. So that was really helpful. So here is the basic sentence structure for saying that X likes Y. X wa Y ga suki desu. And here's the basic sentence structure for X dislikes Y. X wa Y ga kirai desu. So it is as simple and as clean cut as that. So if you want to say I like Y, you can either say watashi wa, like as for me, Y ga suki desu, or you can just say Y ga suki desu all by itself, and people will generally know that you're talking about yourself. And it's the same rules with kirai. You can say watashi wa Y ga kirai desu if you want to say I dislike Y, or you can say Y ga kirai desu if you want to say I dislike Y. You don't have to use the pronoun I. So just a quick note with this formula. It only works if X and Y are both nouns or pronouns. So for example, if you wanted to say he likes running, you wouldn't be able to say kare wa hashiru ga suki desu. That's incorrect grammar. You will learn in a future lesson how to say he likes running, he likes to run. But for the purposes of this lesson, just think of it as noun likes noun, pronoun likes pronoun, pronoun likes noun, noun likes pronoun. And as is the case with all of my other equations that I've taught you guys with the formulas for these sentence structures, you can replace X or Y with a longer, more complicated thought that itself is a noun. I will explain with a little example here. So you could say, Watashi no okaasan wa anime ga kirai desu. So in this case, I'm replacing the X with watashi no okaasan, the complete thought, my mother, watashi no okaasan. And again, you wouldn't even necessarily have to say watashi no. You could just say okaasan, and people would generally know you're talking about your own mom. Unless I'm having a conversation with Ted and I'm at Ted's house and his mom is right there and I'm like, okaasan wa anime ga kirai desu ka? Like with a question mark, I'd be asking, hey, does your mom dislike anime? But yeah, I mean, if I'm just saying something, we're talking about ourselves and I'm like, okaasan wa anime ga kirai desu, I'm saying my mom dislikes anime. But if you want to be really specific, watashi no okaasan, that whole compound can replace X in the X wa Y ga suki or kirai desu equation. So let's kick this up a notch. You can add dai. Notice the kanji for dai. It's a really easy kanji, and it's one of the first kanji you should learn. It means big. It's the same kanji in oki, but in this case it's pronounced dai. And that means big or super or mega. So if you add a dai before kirai or suki, it just amplifies it. So daisuki is more like love rather than like, and then daikirai is more like hate rather than dislike. So you could say anime ga daisuki desu, which is like, I love anime. It's like stronger than I like anime. Watashi anime ga suki desu. And if you want to tell someone that you hate them, anata ga daikirai desu. But you're polite about it. I hate you, politely. But that's a good segue to note that culturally speaking, it's pretty rude in Japanese to say that you dislike something or that you hate something. Like if it's with people with whom you are quite close, you can say kirai and daikirai and stuff like that. But if it's like people you don't know very well or they're higher in status than you, you're trying to kind of be polite. Generally speaking, you should just kind of avoid saying kirai because it's rude. So on that note, remember a few videos back we learned that if you add janai to the end of something, it turns it into the negative version of itself. So the same is true with ski and kirai. So if you say ski janai desu, or ski ja arimasen, that means don't like. It doesn't mean dislike, it means don't like. And if you say kirai janai desu or kirai ja arimasen, it means don't dislike. And just another note, ski janai desu and ski ja arimasen, that is pretty commonly used, whereas kirai janai, that one is not used as much, and usually the nuance that it takes on if you say kirai janai, it's like not bad at all. It usually kind of has that nuance to it rather than a I don't dislike. That double negative is kind of weird. So it's slightly differently nuanced than I'd like, because of the double negative don't dislike, I like. It's like, it's not bad. But ski janai is used a lot more often than kirai janai, just because like I said, if you say kirai, that's kind of rude. But if you say ski janai, then it's softer. I don't like versus I dislike. So if you want to say that you hate sushi, but you want to be polite about it, you could say, 私はsushiが好きじゃないです. Or 私はsushiが好きじゃありません. And now here's another great place to introduce two more modifiers, とても and あまり. And also you may notice this in manga or anime, but if you want to like emphasize those as well, you might see a small tsu between the to and the te, so it's とても. And amari, you might see a little added between the a and the ma, so it's amari. So just note that if you see those little things, it basically is just emphasizing those words. So it's like really, really. And that's what both of those words mean. Totemo means really or very in the positive sense. And then amari means not really. So it's like kinda, not really, sorta. And that's with negatives. So using them in action, 彼は猫がとっても好きです. That would mean he likes cats a lot. He very much likes cats. Whereas for amari, which is used with negatives, it'd be something like 山田くんは映画があまり好きじゃないです. Would mean Yamada doesn't really like movies very much. So with all of what we learned in mind, let's go over a few model sentences. 犬はボールが好きです. So you might remember what inu means from previous videos. It means dog. And then ボール, that is a gairaigo or a borrowed English word. So based off of what it sounds like, what do you think it is? It is ball. ボール, ball. So 犬はボールが好きです. Dogs like balls. セレブはパパラッチが大嫌いですよ. So セレブ, that is another gairaigo. As a clue, it is a short version of a long word. So what do you think that means? It is short for sereburati. So celebrity, stars basically, famous people. Paparazzi, that's another gairaigo. That one's a little easier to hear what it is. It's paparazzi. 大嫌いですよ. So you might remember the yo from a couple videos back. If you end a sentence with yo, it makes it like a firmer statement. So saith I declare, I will have you know that. Celebrities hate the paparazzi. あなたはキャンディーが好きですか? So now you can ask questions. You can ask people if they like or dislike things by adding the ka to the end of it. So あなた, you, wa, candy, another gairaigo, candy, が好きですか? So do you like candy? This statement is extremely true of myself. 私はスポーツがあまり好きじゃありません. So 私はI, sports, another gairaigo, sports. あんまり好きじゃありません. I don't really like sports very much, and that's the diplomatic Japanese way of expressing I hate sports. I think they're boring. Why do people watch them? Anyway, 私はスポーツがあんまり好きじゃありません. I'm just being polite about it and coy. I don't really like sports very much. 猫はお魚がとても大好きですよね. So we're working with a lot of things now. All right, so 猫は, as for cats, Osakana ga, osakana is fish, or just sakana is fish. Totemo, so very much, a lot. Daisuki, love. The desu yone, so adding the yone at the end, it means I'm being firm in my statement and I'm also agreeing with you. So maybe you were looking at a cat eating fish and laughing and being like, kawaii. And then I'm like, 猫はお魚がとても大好きですよね. Like, oh yeah, like cats really love fish, don't they? I'm agreeing with you that that cat is cute, and I'm adding in this bit of information, declaring strongly. Mariko さんはアニメが嫌いですか? So note, Mariko-san is a person's name, but I'm not necessarily asking, does Mariko dislike anime? I might be, but if Mariko's like right there and I'm saying, Mariko-san wa anime ga kirai desu ka? I'm asking, hey Mariko, do you dislike anime? Just note that in Japanese, speakers often use a person's name in place of the pronoun you. If you say anata, it actually can be kind of rude, so it's a lot more polite to use that person's name in place of you. Here's another statement that's very true of me. 私は焼肉の匂いがとても大好きですよ. So, yakiniku, you might know that. If you're into Japanese culture. It literally means grilled meat, but it's basically their word for Korean barbecue specifically. And nioi is the smell. So yakiniku no nioi is the smell of barbecued meat or the smell of Korean barbecue. がとても大好きですよ. So again, I'm ending it with the yo because I'm being very firm and I'm declaring, so saith I. I'll have you know that I love the smell of Korean barbecue. So now we have come to the review section of this lesson. Please do not skip this section. This is actually very important. I'm going to say each sentence and I'm going to leave a few seconds between each sentence, and there are timestamps in both the video description and in a pinned comment at the top of the comments section. So you can find the sentence that you want to listen to and practice and click on that timestamp. It'll jump right to that sentence in the video. You can press pause and use the timestamps and practice all of the specific sentences and phrases that you want to practice as many times as you want. 私のお母さんはアニメが嫌いです。私は寿司が好きじゃありません。彼は猫がとても好きです。山田くんは映画があんまり好きじゃないです。犬はボールが好きです。セレブはパパラッチが大嫌いですよ。あなたはキャンディーが好きですか？私はスポーツがあまり好きじゃありません。猫はお魚がとても大好きですよね。マリコさんはアニメが嫌いですか？私は焼肉の匂いがとても大好きですよ。Thanks for watching! In the next episode of this series, you are going to learn how to use iru and aru to express where things are, what things are. It's extremely useful grammar, trust me. Thank you to all of the patrons who support this series and all the other series on this channel. You can support this particular series at the $19 or $2 a month level, and it comes with all kinds of perks. Study guides, worksheets graded by me. Check it out. And I hope to see you in episode 17 of Japanese for Beginners. Mata ne!